The history of espionage in America goes all the way back to the Revolutionary War. And the father of it all was the father of our country. George Washington knew that in order for us to win our war of independence against superior British forces, we'd not only have to beat them on the battlefield, we'd have to outsmart them as well. So he created a unique intelligence network to do the job. In fact, General Washington was America's original spymaster. And you can take my word for it, because I was one of his spies. Well, no, that's not me. Well, I would never be so obvious. Well, come over here. The good-looking one, in the corner. That's me. My name is Robert Townsend. I am not only the proprietor of a dry goods store, but I am also proud to say that I was once part of the first major spy ring dedicated to helping General Washington win our war of independence. We were known as the Culper Gang, and my code name was Culper Jr. Do you like that? I thought of it myself. Now, I was a patriot living in New York, pretending to be a loyalist. I wrote pro-British articles for the local newspaper. Well, even my business partner didn't know about my secret life as a spy. We'd all learned from the unfortunate experience of Nathan Hale that spying was a dangerous business, punishable by death. We had to be cautious and cunning. Shall I show you a few tricks of the trade? Now, this was one of the general's favorites. This looks like an ordinary letter, but it's not. See, the general encouraged us to write secret messages between the lines of personal letters with invisible ink. Washington had a secret chemical that revealed our hidden messages. It was called sympathetic stain, and it worked beautifully. But that's not all. We also developed secret codes. We took hundreds of words from the dictionary and assigned each of them a number. For instance, 38 meant attack, 192 meant fort, and 711 was the code for General Washington. Needless to say, without this book, you'd have a heck of a time figuring out our secret messages. But when the secret codes and the sympathetic ink and men like me couldn't do the job, well, we turned to a team of clever women. Like Anna Smith Strong, who helped us win the war simply by doing her laundry. Through those perilous years of 1778 to 1783, I gathered vital information about enemy troop movements and fortifications in British-held New York. This intelligence was passed on to Anna, and when Anna hung a black petticoat on her clothesline, it signaled another member of the Culper Gang that information was ready to be picked up. If that's not clever enough, the number of handkerchiefs Anna hung directed the agent to exactly where the information could be found. The information was then passed on to Benjamin Talmadge, head of the Culper Gang, who in turn passed it on to Washington. Washington's extensive spy network went far beyond the Culper Gang. In British-held Philadelphia, Lydia Darragh would eavesdrop on British officers as they met in her parlor below. She would hide what she heard on tiny notes, stuffed into cloth buttons and sewn onto her son's coat. And the buttons with their hidden messages would be delivered directly to Washington. In December 1777, Lydia got word to Washington that the British were planning a surprise attack on his army as it marched to Valley Forge. But when they attacked, the Continentals were ready, and the British withdrew in frustration. But it wasn't all about passing on information. General Washington was also an expert at disinformation, and the Culper Gang had a hand in one of the most important deceptions of the war. Now, when I discovered that the British were planning on sending over 6,000 troops to intercept French forces sailing to our aid, General Washington came up with a cunning plan. He crafted a fictitious attack on New York and made sure this plan fell into the hands of British General Henry Clinton. General Clinton took the bait, and instead of sailing to Newport to surprise the French, he set sail for New York to meet our troops, who never arrived. Thus, our French friends arrived safely. Their aid helped turn the tide of the war. So, here's to General Washington, our nation's original master of intelligence. Now, did I tell you that his words even became required reading for all future spies? There is nothing more necessary than good intelligence to frustrate a designing enemy, and nothing requires greater pains to obtain. Well said, sir. But it was the words of Major George Beckwith, the chief of British intelligence during the Revolutionary War, that really hit the nail on the head. And I quote, "Washington did not really outfight the British. He simply outspied us." Well, I couldn't have said it better myself.